Hello, thank you for joining me. My name is Mann Rentoy. I am a Filipino, now based here in Sri Lanka, and for the last 33 years, I've been a classroom teacher. Today, I would like to share with you some ideas I've been able to pick up along the way in my years of dealing with families in high school and college. The urgency of character formation, indeed, is something that is very relevant and very important given the kind of environment the young people today are growing up in. Sometimes we tend to think that this is an environment that fosters selfishness. It's an all about me world that the young people are growing up in. There is what we now call the pageantry of vanity, where some people measure dignity, importance, value of a human being based on the number of likes and shares and comments that they receive, based on the number of followers that they have in YouTube, in Facebook, in Instagram. Historically, researchers describe this environment as probably the most pernicious, insidious, and clandestine in the way it tries to manipulate mindsets. Imagine a kid today growing up. Here are the assaults, challenges he or she has to contend with, many of which we did not experience during our generation. There is, for example, addiction to video games. Then there is violence in media. A research in the United States says by the time a kid turns 13, he would have witnessed 18,000 murders from movies, from television shows, from video games. Then there is a prevalence of pornography, and even a kid of 6 or 7 can be subjected to the most gruesome, harmful pornographic images in the internet at a few clicks here and there. Then there is materialism and hedonism brought about by their exposure to hundreds of hours of screen time. And that's not all. Here are the other challenges that we see in the environment today. There is a growing religious indifference, divorce here and there, alcoholism, even among teenagers, a certain culture of softness that is becoming prevalent among many young people. Then there is moral relativism, false heroes, and drug addiction. Warlick is correct in saying that for the first time, we are actually preparing children for a future we cannot even clearly describe. But they need us. They need you, parents, teachers, more than ever. We need to understand them. We need to communicate with them. Dr. Michele Borba, author of Building Moral Intelligence and many other best-selling books on character formation, tells us that we have 4 reasons why we should be concerned. There is a measurable dip in empathy among today's youth. Number 2 is there is clear increase in peer cruelty. My 33 years inside the classroom, I've seen this very clearly happening. Bullying, it's at an all-time high. Then there is more cheating and weaker moral reasoning in young people. And number 4, mental health epidemic among the young. We hear more and more cases of suicide, of young people falling into depression. Now more than ever, this work of formation is urgent and important. Michele Borba tells us enhancing moral intelligence is our best hope to get the young people on the right course so that they act and think right. We are dealing with a unique generation of young people immersed in technology. Young people who do not know a world without computer, without cell phone. You can have a kid today growing up and he has his own cell phone. He has his own gadget at such a young age. He didn't work hard for that. He didn't have to save up from his salary to be able to buy his first cell phone, and yet he is able to get it. So we have kids today growing up with a certain sense of entitlement. Young kids thinking they have the right to the gadget, they should have their own gadget, and it has to be the latest one because of the kind of environment they're growing up in. In many places today, the iPad has become the new nanny. You want him to be quiet, you give him the iPad. Here's a very important message. This tablet is here to stay. That gadget, that iPad is just going to become brighter, lighter, cheaper, more powerful, more apps, more colorful. but it is not going to go away. Our job, therefore, is to make sure that this young kid today grows up to be in control of technology and not the other way around. As what is happening in many places today, it's technology that is actually controlling the young kids. Well, we need to teach character among the young people. We do it through our example, through our direction, through our verbal explanations. In the end, character is learned in the same way it has been learned in the past so many generations from the adults, from the example that we show them. They have to learn love from us. And we can replace love here with all the other values you can think of. They have to learn hard work from us. They have to learn professionalism from us, kindness, caring. It is not easy, but it is worthwhile. Here are some tips I can share with you from Dr. Michele Borba. First, commit to raising a moral child. Research tells us that parents who feel strongly about their kids turning out morally usually succeed because they commit themselves to that effort. If you really want to raise a moral child, then make a personal commitment to raise one and do not stop until he does. Here's the next one. Be a strong moral example. We've heard that cliche too many times in the past. Values are caught, not taught. And it's a good news actually for us that in spite of the new generation of young kids growing up today in a very different environment, they still learn character in very much the same way through the powerful example of our life. Each day, parents should ask yourselves, if my child had only my behavior to watch, what example would he catch? Here's the next tip from Michele Borba. Know your beliefs and share them. Because the opposite of what you believe in, the opposite of the values that you hold dear, they are what the young kids today hear in music, in the videos, in television, in the internet. Let us not lose by default. Always, at all times, expect moral behavior. And the young kids should hear this very often from us, constantly, consistently. We can, for example, think about the following. How do I act in front of my kids when the day is hard and my patience is lacking? How do I control my own anger and stress? In the middle of an argument, am I able to stop and say, let's stay calm? Am I doing anything in excess, drinking, eating, smoking, swearing, spending, working, playing, that might send a wrong signal? Or, because we are talking here of digital natives, the generation of uh, technologically immersed young people, can we focus on conversation without having to check our phone every few minutes? And can we handle the pressure related to owning the latest gadgets? Now I'd like to share with you Dr. Thomas Licona's Principles of Raising Good Children. He's the author of Character Matters, which is one of the landmark books in the field of character building. Here's his principle number 1. Know what good character is and make character development a high priority. I spent my last 10 years going around the Philippines, being able to reach out to more than 40,000 teachers and parents, telling them to make character formation a top priority. It's worthwhile and it's important. We should be asking ourselves questions like this. What will my kids be like when they are grown men and women? Will they be hardworking and responsible? But going beyond merely the human successes, we should also be asking, will they make loving husbands and wives and capable mothers and fathers? How might my actions now affect those outcomes? Principle number 2 for Thomas Licona is love the children, shown in 4 ways: affirmation, time, communication, and sacrifice. Principle number 3 is be an authoritative parent, not authoritarian, not permissive, but authoritative. Require them always to speak respectfully to you in what they say and in their tone of voice. Principle number 4, which is very much what we discussed earlier, teach by example, because young people learn more by what they see, by what they hear, by what they experience with the adults. That's why Thomas Licona gives importance to those moral moments which our children remember. Principle number 5, teach them to manage the moral environment. It's very important that we, for example, have rules in the house about the use of technology, the cell phone, the television, the internet. Principle number 6, use direct teaching and questioning to develop conscience and moral reasoning. Practice what you preach, but don't forget to preach what you practice. Principle number 7, discipline wisely. Principle number 8, solve problems and conflicts fairly and with love. As sure as the sun will rise, there will be problems, there will be difficulties, there will be challenges. We need to know how to solve them fairly and with love. And then principle number 9, we've got to foster spiritual development. The young people have to fall in love with faith at home, and they have to see it, they have to feel it, they have to experience it in the house. Research tells us that teens who regularly practice a religious faith, they work harder in school and get better grades. They are more involved in service activities, and they are less likely to steal, be violent, use drugs and alcohol, or have sex. And they have greater life satisfaction and lower suicide rates. Youth Waits tells us if a young person does not pray, he or she will almost certainly experience a crisis of faith. Without prayer, they will not have the spiritual vitality to withstand the onslaughts of a pagan world. Now more than ever, character formation is urgent and important. This is the greatest task that is entrusted to the parents and to the educators of today. This digital generation, these digital natives, can grow up to be men and women of character if we work together in really raising a new generation of not just smart, but good people. The greatest legacy parents can leave behind their children is a strong conviction that I have to be a good person. And this is an exciting adventure. We look forward to seeing these young people eventually taking on the task of leading our society towards a brighter future.